Hi there, it's Amanda from New Directions and I'm here on the sofa with Sam and the model Shazza. Now, we've got bad bushfire. Don't laugh, it's her name. We've got bad bushfires at the moment, which is kind of not funny, but we're taking all precautions and making sure that Shazza can breathe.
She's quite a gentle, delicate soul.
She is, so she's got the mask and we're just braving it, or else you wouldn't be able to hear what we're saying.
Valid.
Yes. So, what are we here for, Sam? What are we going to look at today?
So I'm Sam Overton. I'm a hairdresser, but I also have my own hair care line as well called You Hair Care. So, something that I want to debunk and have a chat with Amanda about is silicons and the use of silicons in hair care, and the way they affect, the feel of the hair and and how people perceive silicons to be, basically.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of people don't like them, I guess.
Yeah, people seem to think that silicon's like the devil, like it coats the hair or colour doesn't penetrate the hair. So I think what would be good is to have a play with some of the silicons and maybe just have a little bit of a chat and talk about them and what they do, and maybe debunk some of the myths and what
fair
they
enough.
are.
Look, I think to go back to the beginning of the whole silicon scenario, when silicon technology first came out for hair care, they were used as conditioners, so conditioning agents. So a lot of the earlier silicons were very substantive, which means they really stick well to the hair, so they actually grip it really well. And what was happening is that they were building up, so it was legitimate.
So that's like when people were, sorry to interrupt you, I'm not really
no,
sorry,
you're all good.
But when people used to scrape down the hair to get the silicon to come off to show the build up.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
I think that's what it must have been, because they were so good at conditioning, it's almost like too good that they just wouldn't let go. And then when that happens, you're literally just adding more and more on, and then that would have been hard to colour over, because you've got this layer of sort of what's a cationic sort of attracted silicon product on top of it. But as with all things scientific, things move on. So the technology moved on. The scientists found out ways of making this substantive silicon technology that could wash out. So what they did is they changed what's called the charge density. So they bound onto the hair a little bit looser, weren't holding on so tight. So you get all the conditioning benefit without the build-up, basically.
I guess what you're saying with the way that things move on, it's like back in the old days when products had too much protein and hair would be snapping because it would be putting too much protein into the hair, whereas nowadays products have got protein in them but hair isn't snapping because it's I don't know, regulated, or they know the amount to put into product. There's
I've never heard of that. I've never heard of it. I don't know.
Years and years ago, like over protein products with too much protein in the hair was obviously I don't know what the word is, like just putting too much protein in the hair, and hair was breaking off and getting damaged with the amount of protein in it.
Yeah, I mean, unless it maybe it changed the cuticle, it might have trapped too much moisture and then kind of almost, like when your hair's wet and it's a bit porous.
I blow dry every day.
That's right. Good job, actually. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was oversaturating it and then leaving it kind of weaker, which is ironic. But I don't know. There must be a reason for it, I guess. But silicons probably still have that prejudice, I guess, from in the very early days when they weren't so good because they were just too good, if you know what I mean. They were too good at holding on.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I always found...
I was going to say like me in the queue for the toilet, but that's kind of not really relevant.
Okay. But that, before I had started getting into hair products, and I've been an ambassador for quite a lot of hair brands and things like that. Before I started learning about the formulations and the ingredients and the compounds and all that, I was a true believer that silicone was like bad. You didn't want silicone.
Yeah, no, it's not bad in terms of an ingredient family. So when I talk to people about silicons in terms of their chemistry, they're different from vegetable oils in terms of their backbone. So if you think about the backbone first and what that does to a person, so our backbones can usually enable us to sort of bend a little bit backwards, forwards, side to side. Silicons are like your most flexible yoga teacher. So instead of the backbone being like carbon, which you get with vegetable oils, silicons have a backbone of silica, which comes from sand, and that's extremely flexible. So it can move in any direction. And because of that high flexibility, a little bit goes a long way.
Well, because I've always found that, with silicons, especially applying them into wet hair, it helps with, I mean, it's not a word, but in hairdresser terms, like the combability.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
no,
I can
know
get
that
the
word,
comb through the hair a lot easier. I'm not damaging the hair as much.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's putting like a finer coat on there to protect it. Because obviously when hair's wet, the elasticity is a lot more exaggerated, so it's a lot more fragile at that state.
Yeah.
So I was under the belief that, you know, using certain silicons in products are there to help protect the hair from damage and things like that.
Yeah, they can be. So there's different classes of silicons. There's the silicon fluids. So you've got things like dimethicone, cyclomethicone. They're fluids in a way, so they don't really have any hands to grab onto the hair. Cyclomethicone is often used as a really lightweight and highly volatile carrier. So what that does is you can put it through the hair and it will evaporate off, but leave you with a bit of a shine and sort of that combability, that manageability. And then dimethicone fluids can go from very light to very, very heavy, and almost like polymer sort of, you know, like those blur creams you get on the face, you can use it like that. And they're really there to give a bit of extra conditioning, lubricity, so things smooth through the hair.
Lubricity,
it's a good word. Put it in your dictionary.
Yeah, I would.
Or your iPhone, whatever it is, I don't know. But yeah, so they don't hold on, but then you've got your functional silicons, which have these hands on them, which can grab onto the hair. Some of which can grab in and lock onto the cuticle and keep the colour in. So they actually have the colour protection properties, UV protective qualities, and also that kind of, you know, when you seal the cuticle like that, you can, it's kind of restorative or repairing the actual hair. So some of them can be quite good, but they're not classified as natural. Because even though silica comes from sand, it's a very industrial process, and the carbons that end up on the molecule as well, they're pretty much always from petrochemicals.
So is that when people would say it's naturally derived? Because I see that term thrown around so much about things, and I always wondered whether that's just a term people use to kind of, it's naturally derived. So people hear the word natural and they don't think it's harsh, or they think it's natural.
Well, there is that. So you could say, I mean, the silica comes from sand, definitely, 100%. But to get sand into silica is not an easy process. You need to really throw some energy at it. So it's a really energy intensive process. And that then, you know, isn't really good for the environment, I guess, because of all the energy that's going into breaking it up. And then even on top of that, then you've got to put some carbon groups on to make your functionality and whatnot. So often they're coming from petroleum, but having said that, petroleum is just things that died a long time ago and got squashed under the sea or under the soil. So that's also natural, but it's just happened a long time ago, and it's not necessarily sustainable. Do you get what I mean?
I'm just
listening
to it all. No, it makes sense.
Nuts.
No, totally. It's just interesting when, you know, hearing it from a hairdresser and a chemist kind of point of view, because there's so many things that need to be debunked about that, you know, like, you know, water soluble silicons or
amodimethicone.
Yes, I use that in shampoos and shampoos and conditioner.
Okay, so that's a functional silicon.
And that's water soluble.
Well, when you put a hand, if you think of it like hands, like my little hands, I'm always talking with my hands. When you put these sort of functional groups on a silicon, they do then have the ability to sort of sit in another phase. So if you put some functionality onto a silicon fluid, it could make it water soluble, or at least water dispersible, which means then it's going to wash out easier.
So that's why I use it in mine, because obviously it washes out, whereas I don't know if I'm right, correct me if I'm wrong here, but like cyclomethicone is a family of silicons which are environmentally dissolvable rather than water soluble. So they stay in the hair, but they don't wash out with water, but they just naturally come out the hair?
Yeah, they could do. So cyclomethicone and dimethicone fluid, they don't really have any capacity to hold on to the hair. So they may well stay on the hair from just, you know, I suppose sliding through them and coating it a bit, but they're not actually chemically attracted to the hair in any way. And in terms of where they go to, well, they'd just have to break down in the environment, through the shower or whatever, as anything else. So, I mean, the biodegradability and the safety of different silicons would be dependent on its structure and how readily biodegradable it would be. But that's the same for any chemical, even natural things. I mean, you assume that natural things are always going to be much better for the environment, but it really does depend on the structure and how degradable it is.
Oh, coal's natural, and that's not very good for the environment.
That's a good point. Very deep. Let's take a minute to contemplate that. That's true.
It's a bit like, because I'm one of those annoying vegans, but everyone thinks if it's vegan, it's healthy, and I'm like, mate, there's
chips
so
are
much.
vegan.
Do you know one thing on a
chips.
tangent here? So many people go to me, oh, but I don't like vegan food, and I'm like, oh, so you don't like fruit? You don't like vegetables, you don't like rice.
Yeah, but you do eat healthy. I mean, if I was a vegan, I'd be eating chips. And cheese sandwiches without the cheese. So like literally bread. Is bread vegan?
Yeah, some bread. Some sourdoughs aren't. Brioche isn't.
I don't want that.
But yeah, most bread's vegan.
Okay, cool. Well, there you go. I'd be a good vegan. Chip butties.
Yeah, with ketchup. Yeah, I'm up for that.
No. Brown sauce. Is brown sauce vegan?
Yeah,
HP.
Trust me, I love that
Awesome.
on my scrambled tofu in the mornings.
That's what I'm having without the tofu. But anyway, sounds good. Cool. So shall we give these things a try? So in terms of silicone, we've got in one of these little things that we just mixed up here, this thin one, I've got cyclomethicone and dimethicone, which is similar to the kind of oils that you often find on the marketplace to condition and shine the hair, so that's that one. And then in this bigger container, we've just got fractionated coconut oil. So that's a really light, almost the lightest vegetable oil you can get before you start splitting vegetable oils up into other things.
So what is fractionated coconut oil? What is, for someone that wouldn't have a clue what that is? Because obviously you know what coconut oil is, but
what's fractionated. What you do is you get a coconut and you chop up the top.
Fractions.
You literally do. You split it into fractions. But we do that in a laboratory and we call it fractional distillation, because if you heat it all up, all of the coconut oil, for example, and then you cool it down slowly, the heavier bits will solidify first and then you can separate them off. Yep. So you're literally doing that, and that's called fractional distillation. So it's almost the same as like chopping it into different fractions. So you get the lighter bit left, but it's still a triglyceride, and I'll draw the structure and put it on a slide, but it's a lot heavier and bulkier than a silicone fluid.
Okay, that makes sense.
Cool.
Well, it made sense to me. Does it make sense to you?
Probably not. So
all right then. So what are we doing?
Let's try it on Shazza. Should we take a mask off and veil
so
Shazza?
we can see her smiling.
Yeah, she loves doing her hair, doesn't she? She's very placid.
Oh yeah, she doesn't say much.
No. If she did say something, what do you reckon? I don't even know.
I trust me.
She's got some flyaways.
She lives in my warehouse. I wouldn't want her to talk.
No. Good job. And the haircut was by you.
Yeah, it looks better in real life, trust me.
It does, it looks good. It actually looks, she's looking quite stylish, a bit 80s.
Yeah, but we've been throwing it around and playing with it and getting flyaways, haven't we?
No, I quite like it. I quite like that. It is a bit, oh God, it reminds me of the bangles. Do you remember
it's a bit Farrah, isn't it?
You do. Oh, Farrah, yes. Okay, try some of the product. What do you want to go?
Let's go with this one first.
Yeah, and
so, how would you recommend, what's the best way for using this?
I don't know, spray it on.
Right, so obviously when you're spraying with a mist...
That's why they pay me the big bucks.
Yeah, I know, right? They're paying you?
No.
Oh, okay. No one told me. So, another myth, okay. So, one thing when you're using something like a mist or a spray, something that's a wet product, you want to spray it from a distance. Obviously, because the closer you spray it, the heavier it's going to be and the wetter it's going to be. So I always find when you spray it further away from a distance, I don't know if it's because it's got further to travel or something like that, but it's a wider disbursement of a spray. So you get a bigger area with less product. Whereas if I'm going closer, it's a smaller area with more product. So I just find the build-up and the heaviness of the product is a bit too much in hair.
That's a good point. I mean, not being a hairdresser, I'd be like just, you know, and then probably...
Ah, well, I'll show you here. Like I see a lot of people that spray it like that.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And you're just like, you see that build-up there? Look how oily that looks. It's too much. So for me, something like this, I don't want to get you.
No, don't worry about it.
But I would just be spraying it like
gentle
that.
Mist.
Yeah, like so I get that misting kind of feel through there. And now, I mean, you can't even see that I've sprayed the product on there. But as I'm combing it through, like the hair's shinier. There's no knots through it, but I can see the product build up on that area.
Yeah, you can see it on the. I can see it on here.
And like I'll show you again, like even down here as well, if I'm spraying it from a distance like that,
yeah,
it just helps get rid of those flyaways. The comb works its way through the hair easily, but you can't see the product, but you can hear where I sprayed it so close to it.
Yeah, no, that's great. Shall we turn her head around and do the other side?
She'll probably fall apart now, won't she? Fall down like. But yeah, just like that. So a big tip for me would be spraying something like this from a distance, or you know, like if you're going to be using something like this, say as a shine spray, spraying it up in the air, and just letting it naturally fall down onto the flyaways, so you can just control them that way without being excessively heavy on the hair.
So even though that is just two of the lightest silicons, like it's a dimethicone 100 centistokes and the cyclomethicone, it still can make your hair greasy if you put too much on, basically. Yeah. That makes sense.
I guess, you know, with silicons and people thinking they're heavy, again, I guess it comes down to the application of it and knowing how to put them in your hair as well.
Yeah, I think so.
So now we're going to show you the back of her head. So we'll go on to the next one.
Yeah, it's actually really shiny. That's quite shiny.
And what's in this one again? The fractionated coconut oil.
That is fractionated coconut oil, yeah.
Okay, so I don't need to shake it or anything, do I?
No.
Okay, so it's the same spray. So it's a mist spray as well.
Yep.
Okay, so I don't know if you can see that, but even spraying it from a distance, it's very... I don't want to get you, Amanda.
Oh, don't worry about it. Okay, look. I'm just sitting here like this.
So you see that? Like it's very wet.
Oh, okay. How did it spray out?
It sprays out like... I'll shake it and see if that does anything.
Oh, it comes out almost like a trigger.
Yeah, like a water spray almost.
It does.
Like.
Yeah, because it's a thicker molecule, so it's actually its structure is just bulkier and doesn't slip as well, so it doesn't surprise me.
But yeah, I mean, I'm guessing you can see that in the camera there.
Yeah.
It just is quite heavy, and even when I'll be over here like this, like it's.
Yeah.
Like it's more like okay, no, we're getting a bit of a mist.
Okay, yeah, so you just need to go a long, long way away, like 3 blocks. 3 blocks away, and you can use your natural spray. Perfect.
But yeah, I mean, you can see that.
Oh my God, that's super, super slick. That's like the Grecian 2000, or whatever it was. Was that what it was called? You know, that stuff that men used to use.
I know what you mean, but yeah, now I can see that. Look at that.
Yeah, that's not good, is it?
And if you compare that down here, this one, the cyclomethicone and dimethicone.
Yeah, that is spraying so much better. I mean, you can see little droplets on it.
I sprayed it a bit closer that time, but I mean, I think...
Definitely better. And I mean, we didn't really formulate that. I just whacked a bit in a bottle just to kind of give us a few options. Yeah, I like it. I think that proves a bit of a point somewhat that... when it comes to kind of these shine detangling sort of sprays, that silicons do give you some advantages over even the lightest of vegetable oils. Now you can take vegetable oils and separate them and combine them to make lightweight esters and other things, but we'll talk about that maybe another time.
So yeah, but just one thing just before we go, in regards to looking at silicons in formulations, if people are concerned still or worried or that, what's the best? I mean, how many silicons roughly do you want to see, or whereabouts in an...
Look, it depends. It really depends on what's in there and what the product is, because you can almost have a product that's almost entirely silicon based and it be the best thing for styling your hair. They don't really have any nutritive properties as such, but you could argue that if something protects your hair and keeps your colour in, or seals your cuticle, that in itself is going to keep your hair in better condition. But in terms of on an ingredient list, they could be literally anywhere. And the good thing about silicones is that the cone part of the name is always part of it. So for people just wanting to see if something contains silicones, then generally that will give you a really good indication. There might be some other ones. I'll have to have a think about it. But yeah, all your big hitters that are going to be in there at the top of the ingredient list will have that name.
So at the end of the day, silicons are your friend.
Yeah, I don't have any other friends. No, I have Shazza.
What about Shazza and Sam?
Sam, I know.
You tell me I was special.
Your family.
But yeah, well, if you've got any questions, she's my mother.
I could be. I look like I could be.
Mate, you'd have had to be really young.
Yeah, but hang on. How old are you again?
I'm 38.
Oh yeah, I'm 45. That would be that would be weird.
Well, what part of the UK are you from?
Oh, nearly that type.
But I think if you've watched this video, if you have any questions about silicons, just put them below, and then Amanda will get back to them.
That's right, because I can't rely on him.
Yeah, I just think at the end of the day, it just kind of helps to know a little bit more about silicons and the purpose of them and why they are in products. Because a lot of, you know, as we said right at the beginning of the video, a lot of people read a silicon or they hear the word silicon and they run a mile and they think it's bad. So there's a reason, there's a purpose behind the majority of them in most hair care products.
That's right. So usually they can be for lightweight shine, very good at shine, especially phenyl trimethicone, very, very good for shine. Conditioning, locking in moisture, protecting the cuticle, protecting the colour, and sometimes UV protection. They're obviously not the only way to go, but they can provide all of those benefits in a product, and they can be used in shampoos and conditioners and spritzers.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Cool. Thanks, Sam from UE.
Thanks, Amanda. From New Direction.
No, it's You Hair Care, here for new directions.
Here for a short time, not a long time.
That's right, or a good time.